By the way, I'm not ignoring you. My ceiling's too low. I can't put my hands up.
Oh, okay. I shall mute you all as well. I've just realised I didn't do that. Being muted now. So basically what you're saying, Antonia, is I can't do anything with your hands over your head. Unfortunately for you tonight, there is some stuff with your hands over your head, so you'll have to improvise. Yeah, go to the pointy bit in the middle of your roof. So when you're ready, if we can come to a standing position, please. I'm kind of going to get this out of the way at the beginning. It occurred to me, it's been so windy the past few days, and I've probably done Ayurvedic stuff with most of you here. And in my experience, the wind is the one element that tends to upskittle us, and it tends to make us feel a little bit jangly and a little bit disconnected from the earth. So I wanted to start this evening's practice grounding, because I think that's a really important thing to do when the weather's been so changeable. So my preference is always to position the heels hip width distance apart. If you prefer to bring your feet together, that's absolutely appropriate to do so. I just find that more comfortable for my hips and lower back. Let's just take a few moments to make sure that we are opening the soles of the feet to create a sense of locking into the earth beneath us. So spreading the toes, perhaps lifting the toes to create a little bit of space, then individually replacing the toes one by one, just to feel that connection through the soles of the feet. Now there's a temptation when we're in a standing position to lock the knees. We almost feel like we're ready for action. We're not doing anything active here, it's very passive. So let's soften the knees, let go of that tension in the legs, relax the inner thighs, soften the buttocks. So you kind of feel as though you're sinking into the floor. Take a moment to just create a little extra space for the rib cage, for the spine, shrugging the shoulders up towards the ears, then slowly roll the shoulders back and down, widening through the collarbones. I feel as if we want to lift the right shoulder, then release. Lift the left shoulder, release that down. Take the right shoulder, the right ear towards the shoulder. Bring that head back to center and take it over to the opposite side. Just loosening off here. Bring the head back again to center. Take a moment to allow the chin to rest forward towards the chest. Be mindful here that you don't want your upper body weight to pull you forward. So reconnecting through the soles of the feet. Draw the shoulder blades together. On an inhalation, sense that you're lifting the rib cage up off of the belly. On an exhalation, relax those shoulders down again. Inhale once more to lengthen from the soles of the feet all the way through the spine. As you exhale, draw the tummy button in, lift the pelvic floor, and slowly draw the head back to an upright position, feeling the back of the head lining up with the back of the heels. Now your choice here, whether you prefer to keep the eyes open. If you're prone to being a little bit dizzy when you're standing, then that might be better. If you're happy to do so, either close the eyes or soften your gaze so that you kind of go a little bit blurred, a little bit out of focus. Tune into the breath and just explore, slowly working through the length of your body, anywhere where you may be holding tension. Throughout the following practice, cultivate a sense of earthiness, radiance, a sense of creating stability through asana, which is the postures, your breath, and mindful awareness. Feel a sense of the earth grounding you, beneath your feet, through your legs, into your pelvic floor. Let every exhale hold you in the moment. There is no rush here. So take your time to tune into the breath. Feel your natural rhythm. every inhalation, nourishing and energizing. With every exhalation, just holding in the moment. Our intention is to feel stable here rather than stuck. Stable, connected into the earth, rather than a sense of holding yourself tight. Now connect into your root chakra energy. Bring your full attention to that space between your hip points. Feel a warmth here. As you stand tall, close your eyes. Feel your feet on the ground. Imagine your feet, your legs, and your pelvic bowl are filled with living, fertile soil. Notice the steadiness this brings to your body and to the breath. Now, I mentioned before that we want to have a sense here that we feel stable and connected rather than stuck. So have a little bit of a play now. Start to gently sway your body weight side to side. You might want to take your body weight forward and back. You don't want to lose balance. So just make those movements very small, very subtle. And remind yourself that you belong here. You have a purpose. You have a right to be in this body, in this life. And you have a sacred responsibility to stand with intention. If it feels natural to you, you can bring yourself again to a more still position. If you prefer to keep moving, then do so. Now take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel the energetic exchange happening between your body and the earth beneath you. As you breathe out, feel your feet, your legs and your pelvis release and connect into the ground. Remember, every inhalation serves to nourish and energize, holding you strong. With every exhalation, feel a surrender to that downward current of energy. Notice a subtle lift, a sense of lightness from the root of your tailbone to the crown of your head. Now take a moment to set your own intention for this practice. Release fear. Trust yourself. Make time and space for a healthy pause between activation and rest. Believe that you deserve to be here. Give yourself permission to release guilt or resentment or any feelings of not being worthy. Cultivate groundedness, kindness, and resolve to simply and authentically be here and now. Bring your awareness back again to the breath. Follow the journey of your breath. Notice any places the breath feels stuck. Notice when you bring your attention to that point. You create a release, permission for the breath to flow gently. Now, if you've had your eyes closed, take a moment to blink the eyes open. keep your focus soft. Start to bring awareness and sensation back to the body. Let's start by wiggling the fingers, rotating the wrists, making little fists with the wrists, or with the hands, should I say. Squeeze the shoulders up towards the ears, hold that little bit of tension. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, throw away that tension, opening the hands, shrugging the shoulders away. Now wiggle the toes. It might feel easier to peel the toes and the sole of the right foot from the floor as you lean back into that right heel, just keeping ourselves grounded, connected. Replace that right foot to the floor as you lift through the left. Wiggle the toes if that feels good. Replace both feet to the floor. Gently rock your weight forward so that you're onto the balls of the feet, lifting the heels, keeping that connection, remaining grounded. Then as you exhale, squeeze the heels back towards the floor. Let's take the feet a little wider apart. So I'm coming to slightly wider than shoulder width distance apart. Insides of the feet remain parallel. And again, we're reminding ourselves that we're soft here. So there's no tension in the legs, softening the knees, softening the hips. We're going to come back to that swaying sensation that we did when we were standing still. And we're just taking that sway from one side to the other. So we're aiming here to activate the root chakra, to keep that connection into the earth, to feel grounded throughout our practice this evening. As you sway the hips back to centre, let's have a little more control as we hitch the right hip up. Come back to centre, hitch the left hip up. Come back to right, a little double bump. To left, a little double bump. Then draw a little figure of 8 with the hips. Just free flow this wherever you feel comfortable. The more you bend the knees, the juicier this feels in the lower back, through the hips. Beautiful. Then bring yourself back again to centre. We can draw the feet a little closer together again, just for comfort, coming back into our mountain pose. Now I'm mindful that some of us have a little bit of restriction through the shoulders, so I'll remind you that we always work to our own personal comfort. A little bit of discomfort is okay, but searing pain and heat is never good to work through, so just do what feels right for you. So ideally I'd like to start with the left hand on the left hip, lifting the right arm. You can either choose a position where you're here at shoulder height, or if it is within your range of movement, bring that arm up overhead. Now we still want to remain rooted down through the soles of the feet, a sense of the shoulders and hips remaining in the same plane. Push down into the feet as you lift and lengthen through that right arm. Open through the side of the rib cage, then draw your weight over to that left side. Wonderful. I think everyone is actually managing the overarm position. Inhale again, come back to centre. We'll repeat the same on the opposite side. So again, your choices are either to bring your hand to this shoulder height, in which case we come across the midline of the body, or if you're happy to take the arm up overhead, root down through the soles of the feet, reach the top of the head for the ceiling. Feel that opening at the side of the waist as you lengthen, releasing, coming into a deep stretch. Inhale to lift, come back to centre. Lovely. Both hands on the hips now. Note that we're keeping this hip width distance apart. We're keeping a gentle softness in the knees. Then as you exhale, hinge forward. I always like to turn side on when I do these postures so that you can tell what the heck is going on. Shoulder blades drawn together, pressing the sit bones towards the back of the room, extending and lengthening through the right arm, perhaps finding the right ear to the inside of that upper arm, extending the fingertips a little further away, pushing the sit bones a little further back.
tucking that right hand back onto the hip as you extend the left. So we want to remain balanced, we want to feel and control, grounded, rooted, stable. Try to extend both arms forward, press through the fingertips, press the sit bones to the back of the room. Perhaps try to adjust by lifting the tailbone a little higher, feeling that extended tension now into the back of the legs. Reposition the hands on the hips, keep the shoulder blades drawn together. Push down into the soles of the feet. Inhale to widen through the collarbones. Exhale to engage the core, lifting back again to center. Bring the hands to an Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. Inhale to lift both arms up overhead. And again, we're following any messages we get from the body. If this feels too tight in the shoulders, just bring that Anjali Mudra down to the point that feels right for you. I'm just going to take a moment to check in here with hip and thigh position. So I'm just spotting a couple of you pushing forward with the hips. That's years of that posture. So let's try to press the thighs back, tuck the tailbone under, creating a lovely long line through the front of the body. That's nicer, good. Now collapse the Anjali Mudra into an interlock. So I'll just bring the hands lower, you can see that. So we're going to keep that interlock overhead. Turn the hands inside out and push the open palms up towards the ceiling. Keep pressing and lengthening. And again, we're going to have that little opening and releasing to one side. So let's take it up through the right side over to the left. Pressing through the palms of the hands, keeping the ear strictly to the inside of that upper arm. That will keep the neck in alignment. Inhale to come back to center. Shoulders release back and down. Engage the core, lift up and lengthen. Exhale to hinge to the opposite side. I'm so sorry, Antonia. I can see that you're really struggling with space there. Inhale again to come back to center. Let's float that interlock down to chest level. Turn the hands in towards the heart. We're going to take a step back with the right foot. I like to make sure that I'm up on the ball of the foot before I commit. Then slowly start to lower that right heel to the floor. Perfect. Turn the palms inside out again. As you push the palms away from you, gently start to bring your upper body weight forward. Press into that back heel. A lovely length and stretch through the back of the right side of the body. Now, release the interlock. Separate the hands. Inhale to lift the arms up overhead. Then as you exhale, step the feet together and bring the hands back to heart center. Let's now take the left foot back. Slight variation on a theme here. Rather than extending the arms forward, we're going to bring that interlock into the lower back. So we're widening through the chest, tucking the tailbone under, nice and soft in that front knee. Then as you exhale, again lead with the sternum rather than the shoulders. Lift the hands away from the lower back. Feel that gorgeous release through the back of the left leg. Lower the hands, replace them on the hips for stability, engage the core, and step the feet together. Beautiful. So, because we've had a little glimmer of sunshine this week, and we're all doing a little happy dance every time we see it, I feel that we really need to invoke the sun gods. So guess what we're going to do now? We're going to do a salute to the sun, and we haven't done one since we came back together again in January. So, you know, it's about time. So remember the golden rules for salute to the sun. Come to the front end of your mat. I'm just making sure I've got plenty of space. I'm not going to headbutt anything. That'll give you a little bit room to move towards the back of your mat. I'm going to go through this really slowly because for most of us, we haven't done it in such a long time. So it's important we remember technique and then we can get into the flow. So as we did when we first came into our Tadasana, we want the knees soft. We never want to feel locked out and engaged anywhere. Inhale to lift the arms overhead. As you exhale, soften the knees, be kind to yourself. We're taking the fingertips towards the floor, but we're not a hero. So if we need a big old bend in the knees to get that comfortable release, we do so. Lift the sternum, bring the gaze towards the front of the room. Try to press the palms down to the floor as you lift the tailbone. So I'm kind of repeating that little stretch that we did to the back of the thighs, slightly more intense because we've got the palms to the floor. Now step the right foot back, lower that shin towards the mat, come into our lunge posture. So nice comfortable lunge here. I always find that fingertips to the floor is more comfortable for me, so don't push your hands all the way down if you can't reach. Extend the sternum forward, sink that hip towards the floor. So the idea is rather than travelling forward, you want the hip to open down and open. Perfect. Now turn that right toe under. Bring your palms more securely to the mat as you strike the left foot back. Come into the plank posture. So in Sanskrit, this is called Kumbhak Asana. Kumbhak Asana means holding the breath pose. So exhale, draw the tummy button in, engage the core. We're holding for a moment. Then as you exhale, we'll gently float down onto the knees, the chest, the chin, the elbows are back, the bottom is up. Then inhale, lift the chest. Don't overdo it on this. Come down to Sphinx pose if that's more comfortable for you. Roll the shoulders away from the ears, extend the sternum forward. As this is a practice round, we're going to take a moment to release back into child's pose, pressing the sit bones towards the heels. Again, resting the ears between the upper arms. Exhaling to extend into this long stretch. Inhaling to lift the fingertips from the floor, pressing the wrist to the mat. Now lower the palms to the mat. Come back up. We're going to come to an all fours position. We'll put the down dog into the next round. Now we're going to bring the right leg forward so that we get that stretch on the left hip flexor, the front of the left thigh. So remember, the action is not to push the hip forward, it's to gently tilt the hip down towards the earth, opening through the chest. Lift your hands up away from the floor so that you're not tempted to curve the spine here. Beautiful. Then turn that left toe under, slide that foot forward, back into a forward fold here. Because we're still working on lubricating all of the muscles and the joints, let's take a moment to hang here in ragdoll pose. So wrap the hands around the elbows, bring the belly to the thighs, knees can be as bent as you like, tucking the chin under, and just hanging here for a moment. In much the same way as we did when we were in the standing asana, just gently swing the upper body from one side to the other. As you return to center, let's reposition the hands on the hips. Draw the shoulder blades together. Lift your gaze a little further forward than the toes, almost as if you're pushing your weight into the sit bones. Engage the core, push into the soles of the feet. Inhale, lift up. Find yourself in Tadasana pose. Inhale, lift the arms overhead. Bring the palms together overhead. Sink those shoulders down away from the ears. Quick check in that those thighs and hips are not pushed forward. So gently align the thighs back. Inhale, lift the sternum, look to the thumbs, open through the chest, and release back. Then as you exhale, engage the core, bring the hands back to heart center. Just take a moment there, find your center, feel that connection again into the earth. Slow your breath down. And we'll build it up into a proper salute to the sun on the opposite side. So old habits die hard. I always turn to the opposite way when I'm teaching. I won't be able to get out of that habit soon. So insides of the feet parallel. Inhale, lift the arms overhead. As you exhale, softly through the knees as you dive the hands forward, switching off the back of the neck, nice and long here. Now let's take the right foot back, sink that shin to the floor. Inhale, lift the chest forward. Replace the palms to the floor, bring your gaze back down to the toes. Turn that right toe under, strike the left foot back, come into the plank posture. Remain soft in the elbows, again, avoiding locking out. Wide through the chest, engaged in the core. Then exhale to slowly float down onto knees, chest, chin. Chaturanga for those who prefer it. Inhale to lift the chest, shoulders back and down. This time, rather than child's pose, turn the toes under, push the sit bones back, lift up into your downward facing dog. If you're not feeling an inversion tonight, just stick with the child's pose that we did earlier, pushing the sit bones to the back of the room, lifting the tailbone. On an inhalation, set your gaze forward towards the fingertips. Lift that right leg forward. Replace the left knee to the floor. Lift the sternum, coming into the lunge on the opposite side. Turn that back toe under. Step forward. Widen the arms. Engage the core. Inhale, lift up. When the arms are overhead, ease back. Then return again to that standing Tadasana position. Wonderful. So hopefully that will have reminded you the sequence, because of course when I'm demonstrating I can't see what you're doing, so I'd like to see you do it on the right side. So I'll continue to speak, but I won't physically be doing it because I'll be watching you. So inhale, lift both arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge, bring your fingertips towards the floor, knees are soft. Beautiful. Step the left leg back this time, lower that shin to the floor, come into the lunge on the left side. Lift the sternum forward, shoulders back and down, lovely. Turn the left toe under, strike the right foot back, come into plank pose. So when you're in your plank pose, what I'm looking for is that you don't have your bottom up in the air, that your elbows are nice and soft. Beautiful, that with every out breath, you're drawing the tummy button in, that you're lifting the pelvic floor up. Then we'll float down, your choice whether you do knees, chest, chin or chaturanga. Inhale to lift the chest, coming up into cobra pose. With cobra, try to keep the thighs touching the floor, gently just lifting the hips from the mat. Now turn the toes under, push up into your downward facing dog. I'll remind you, if this just feels like too much effort, come into child's pose. Beautiful, what nice shapes you've got. So I'm just going to make a couple of suggestions for the people that I can see clearly. Rosina, I just need you to walk your feet in a little bit closer. You kind of look somewhere between a plank and a dog, which is okay. Can we try to lift the tailbones? Yes, push the sit bones to the back of the room. Look at that extra length that you gained there, wonderful. Then we're going to bring that left leg forward. Beautiful. This allows you to extend the right leg back for the lunge. Shoulders again back and down, sternum lifted forward. Then step that right leg forward. Beautiful. Widen the arms, keep the core engaged as you lift up, bring the arms overhead. So we're rooting down, lifting through the sternum, gazing up towards the thumbs, curving the spine, then engaging the core, bringing the hands back to heart center. Beautiful. You can take a moment to rest there. The only bit, you've actually all done really well to remember all of the technique. The only bit I'd like to just reflect on is when we come out of downward facing dog and into the lunge, because it can be really, really tricky. So if you found when you were in this position that you kind of ended up here and it just didn't feel as if you were in control, chances are you didn't give yourself enough space on the backswing before you kind of lifted up. So when you're in your downward facing dog, it's important that you've got enough space between the wrists and the toes to create extra lift. Lift the tailbone. So in my case, the heels come all the way off the floor. It does help to use the hand on the thigh to place the heel directly under the knee, under the shoulder. Then you can sink down and come into your lunge. I know it's always an area that's really tricky. I'll just show you one more time on the other side. So we're in down dog. We're going to give ourselves extra lift. Bring that foot forward, lower down. And then we're not struggling to step the foot forward and lift up. Can we just practice that little bit? Sorry, I think I had my hand over my microphone at that point. Maybe my wee muffler thing fell off. So come back into your downward facing dog. And you want to visualize. In fact, it's great when you're doing it on screen because you can actually probably see yourself. So try to see that perfect triangle shape that you're making, a bit like a pyramid. If your heels are down, it might help you to lift the heels up so that you can lift the tailbone a little higher. Now take hold of your right thigh or your right calf and bring that foot forward. Yes! I know it felt like a huge step for mankind, but doesn't it feel much more stable? Yes, we're good, we're there. Wonderful. Now step that foot back. So you're coming straight into a plank. So your wrists are still on the floor. You're going into a plank. Beautiful. Let's see if we can set a diagonal between the shoulder, the hip and the heel. So no bottoms rising. Now float yourself down, either knees, chest, chin or chaturanga. Inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale, push up into your downward facing dog. Beautiful. Nice, I like that little jump, Lauren. We're on it. We're on fire. It's Wednesday and I'm having it. There's a bit of sunshine and I'm all going for it. So lift the tailbone. Now draw the left leg forward. Reposition that heel. Get it on the floor. Yay! Brilliant. Draw the right foot forward. Hang around for a minute. There's no rush. Keep your knees bent. We're not in a hurry. We don't want to get dizzy. Then widen the arms. Engage the core. Inhale, lift the chest up off the thighs. Inhale to lift the arms overhead. Keep that core engagement. Try not to push the hips forward. As you lift up, look at the thumbs. Ease back on an out breath. Inhale to lift back to center. Then bring the hands to heart. Wonderful. I'm not going to keep going with the salute to the sun because we're not quite at midsummer yet, but you know it's coming for you guys. So you can practice it anytime you like, which is cool. Would you like now to do something that isn't standing? There's quite a few. Beautiful. Let's come down to all fours. Let's start in all fours. Let's not completely give in to lying on our backs straight away. So in your all fours position, remember again, it does help to place the knees hip width distance apart. Make sure the wrists are under the shoulders, the elbows are soft. My natural position allows my belly weight to kind of draw my tummy down to arch my lower back. So let's just try and find a little bit of a neutral spine here. So exhale to draw the tummy button in. That will slightly correct that over extended curve. Try if you can visualize drawing the hip bones together. So just that space between the hips. We've been practicing a lot the last couple of weeks on pelvic floor. So everything down there feels quite open in this posture. Gosh, that sounds really rude, but you know what I mean. So suck it all in, ladies. So imagine that you're mid-wee and you're stopping yourself from weeing and you're holding it all tight. Good. So there's no tension in this. It's just bringing your attention and awareness to that engagement, that holding and controlling the core. Now step the right foot back, turn the toe under, press the heel towards the mat. If you're taking your body weight too far back, you can always just slightly adjust the shoulders forward and press a little more deeply into the heel so you really feel that stretch in the calf. Now bring that right knee forward. Let's just take it easily over to the opposite side. So we start with what feels like an easy, gentle stretch. And we're just shifting the weight a tiny bit further forward to press the heel a little deeper to the floor to really exaggerate that stretch. Beautiful. Then bring that knee back in. So I'm going to suggest that we take the knees as wide as the edge of your mat now. So it always looks, when you look down, that you're making kind of diamond shape here. Tips of the toes together, the knees are spread out. We're simply going to bring the elbows towards the mat, so the forearms are resting on the mat. Bring the tips of the thumbs together, so the palms are turned down to the floor. On an out breath, push the sit bones towards the heels. And for some of you, this will be a nicer option than a closed leg child's pose. For those of us who are carrying a little bit of extra ballast around the boob area, it's nice for us to be able to get that full space between the thighs. You might even be able to bring your forehead to the floor and just rest here. You might want to explore how it feels to roll through the forehead and bring one ear parallel to the floor. And to roll through the forehead, bring the opposite ear parallel to the floor. Bring the head back again to center. Push into the forearms, inhale, lift the chest. We're adjusting to bring the shoulders forward. The shoulders are now just slightly further forward than the elbows. Push the thighs back, keeping the elbows under the shoulders, the palms on the floor, drawing the shoulder blades together, pressing the thighs and the hips into the floor, lifting the sternum so you can feel the stretch through the belly as you lift the gaze ahead. As you exhale, look over the right shoulder. As you inhale, you're looking forward but not up. Then as you exhale, turn the gaze over the left shoulder. Then inhale to bring that gaze back again to center. Let's take the weight off the arms. So I'm going to bring the elbows parallel to the front edge of the mat, stacking one hand on top of the other and bringing the forehead to rest here. By the time you get your forehead down on the back of the hands, you should be able to switch off any tension in the shoulders. You're not holding yourself up here. You're allowing the weight of your head to sink into the hands. And again, you can just play around with that mobility in the neck, turning to bring one ear parallel to the floor, transitioning to bring the opposite ear parallel to the floor. Come back again. to centre, relaxing if you can the back of the neck, relaxing the belly, softening the thighs, unclenching the buttocks. Take a deep breath in, feel the upper body expand and widen. As you take a breath out, feel your reconnection again into the earth beneath you, grounding you once more. Deep breath in through the nose, a long breath out through the mouth. Send this next inhalation to anywhere the body may be asking for a little extra attention. Then release the breath here with an audible sigh. Now lift the head from the back of the hands. Reposition the hands either side of the chest. Palms are facing forward as you inhale again and repeat your little Sphinx pose. Gently bring your gaze down towards the mat, so you're lengthening the back of the neck. Reposition the palms under the shoulders, lift up into the cobra pose. Elbows remain soft, lengthening through the sternum. Then as you exhale, take the weight back again into a lovely long child's pose. Let's give the shoulders a rest by bringing the hands either side of the hips. So chances are you're resting on the backs of the hands with the palms facing up towards the ceiling. Some of us will be able to get our heads to the floor. It's not really the end game, but if that feels comfortable for you, you might enjoy the release at the back of the neck. And again, there's always that little bit of an exploration, turning the head from one side to the other. Then reposition the hands just either side of the head, pushing down into the palms to re-lengthen again, coming up into a hero pose. Wonderful. So I don't know how good the contrast is here to show you what I want to show you in hero pose. I'll remind you that not everyone is comfortable in this quite sharp bend in the knees. So for comfort, you might prefer to put a block or a cushion underneath the bottom, just so that you're not sitting all the way back. If your tension is here in the front of the ankles, you might just want to roll up a towel or a blanket just to ease that little bit of tension. Beautiful. Now I'm going to exaggerate. What we don't want to see is this, because that's not you coping very well with this stretch. So if you feel that you're sitting forward, you do need something underneath the bottom so that you can bring yourself back up into alignment. So we should have a plumb line from the back of the head to the tailbone. So I've got a really flat bottom. All my fat kind of goes to the side rather than a nice bulbous peachy bum. It's just the way that's the one I've been given. I have to put up with that. So I can quite easily feel the weight of my sit bones on my heels. I'm going to bring the hands to the hips, and it'll make sense why I've mentioned about feeling the sit bones. So I want you to imagine that you're pulling the hips all the way forward. So it kind of feels as though the sit bones are sitting down into the heels, but the tailbone is tucking right under. And we're going to push that action all the way the opposite way. So we're pushing all the way back. So we're effectively exploring that full range of movement. And just gently working into the hips. What I like about this posture is it can be really releasing for the lower back. And we mentioned earlier about the importance of connecting into the root chakra. It's a really nice one for bringing your full focus to that area. It's not nice if you're taking cramp in your feet though, is it, Joe? No. Gently come back again to centre. Check that alignment, drawing the shoulder blades together, feeling that plumb line from the back of the head to the tailbone. Bring the hands again behind the lower back. We did this earlier standing. So we have an interlock, we're drawing the shoulder blades together, we're keeping the core engaged, and rather than leaning forward, we're lifting the arms up away from the lower back. So this is quite challenging across the pectoral muscles, across the collarbones. We're working hard drawing those shoulder blades together. Then as you exhale, release. Now I know that this is not a favoured position for everyone, so if you would prefer to be in cross-legged pose, then switch around now. I'll stay in it because it doesn't offend me hugely. We're going to bring the right arm up. We're keeping that palm nice and open as we bring it down between the shoulder blades. Now it's important that in the action of bringing that hand down that you don't push your upper body forward. So if anything, push your upper back, if you like, into the palm and see if you can spread the fingers of your palm into that space between the shoulder blades. Keep that alignment from the back of the head to the tailbone, engage the core. If the back feels tight, tuck the tailbone under, see if that helps. Choices here, you can either bring the left hand up to meet the fingertips of the right hand. That has never been within my gift. So my preference and my option is to bring that top hand over, to just apply a little bit of pressure to the elbow, lengthening the stretch to the tricep, whatever works for you. I guess the downside to using the arm over the top is you're more likely to be pulling on the neck. So release, soften, bring the opposite arm up and over. Again, your choice whether you want to link fingertip to fingertip or if you feel it's more effective to apply that little bit of extra tension or pressure, should I say, to the elbow, lengthening the tricep. Then bring both arms down. Beautiful. Sorry for those of you who are in cross leg, but I could see there was quite a lot of strain in the upper back. So I'm actually going to bring us back into an all fours position. Knees again underneath the hips. Turning both toes under. Exhaling, drawing the tummy button in, rolling up through the spine. Soften the back of the neck. Exaggerate, bringing the chin towards the chest. Keep lifting into the lower back. Try to avoid spreading too much between the shoulder blades. Keep that focus on the lower back, tucking the tailbone under. Then we'll reverse the curve. It always helps me psychologically to bring the top of the feet to the floor. As I inhale, bring the chest forward, round the lower back. We're not looking up, we're looking forward and leading with the sternum. So there's a bit more mobilization through the upper thoracic spine in this posture. As we go back to the cat stretch, keep all of that action into the lower spine, tucking the tailbone under, nodding the chin to the chest. Then release back again, finding a nice neutral spine position. Lovely. So I'm going to allow you to come onto your backs now. We're not quite in Shavasana zone. We're nearly there. I had an idea that I might actually use my crystal singing bowl tonight. So the only flip side to that is I'm not sure how well it will convey over the airwaves, but we can give it a go. So when you come into your supine position, notice how you feel, notice how your back feels specifically. So if the back feels a little bit gripey, it needs a little bit of attention, just keep your knees bent for now. If you don't feel any tension in your back and you want to let your legs go, then do so. So repeating what we did when we were in the hero pose and we were kind of articulating the hips, in this laid down position, gently start to tilt the pelvis up towards the ceiling without lifting the bottom from the floor, and then gently pressing the sit bone back all the way towards the floor. So again, we're just articulating the pelvis forward and back. Just finding a little bit of release in the lower back. Then we'll stop that movement as we relax and release. Oh, I've hemmed my blooming singing bowl in, haven't I? Beautiful. You might want to try now to extend the legs to come into that nicely lengthened Shavasana position. And consider how you want to position the hands. So I mentioned earlier about the importance of grounding, particularly when it's been very windy outside. The key for grounding in a Shavasana position is always to turn the palms towards the floor. Usually when we're in a meditative state, we want the hands turned up towards the ceiling because that helps us to connect with our higher self. It kind of opens into a gesture of receptivity. If the palms are turned to the floor, it reminds you of that connection, that groundedness. Take a moment to scan your body from head to toe. You might notice that when we did this earlier, there may have been a part of the body that was asking for a little extra attention, maybe an area that felt a little tighter. You might notice that through our work this evening, some of that's moved off, it's shuffled away. Take a moment to unclench the jaw, to soften the tongue and the well of the mouth, to relax the eyebrows. Feel every muscle in your face soften and release. Allow yourself to tune into the familiar sounds around you. And then imagine that you have your hand on an invisible volume dial. As you start to bring your awareness more fully to your breath, to your body. Notice that you can turn the volume down on those sounds that surround you. Anytime you feel your attention wander, simply bring your focus back to the breath. Back to that sense again of turning the volume down on anything that distracts you. And start to tune in again to the familiar sounds that surround you. Feel the weight of your body against the earth. Feel your connection to the earth through the palms of the hands, through the back of the head, through either the backs of the heels or the soles of the feet. Start to make little adjustments now to return sensation to the physical body. Begin by wiggling fingers and toes. Wriggle the jaw, wriggle the nose. Gently reactivate by rocking the head from one side to the other, taking your time to slowly release the neck. You may wish to take a long stretch through the body. You might prefer to hug the knees towards the chest. Again, that little swaying motion, or drawing a figure of 8 with the hips. In your own time, either rolling to your left side as you return to a seated position, or more actively rolling straight up. Now bring your hands to an Anjali Mudra. Touch to the head for kind thoughts, to the lips for kind words, and to the heart for kind intentions. As always, the light in me honours the light in you. Namaste. So a little reminder that there's no class next week. So please do not be at your computers at 6 o'clock because I will not be here. I will be on a train.
Can I
Angela?
I wanted to say